Everybody, welcome to the next Android video session. Today we are going to cover services. This is the fourth time I'm creating the video. Somehow the video is not getting captured on my laptop. I don't know why. Let's hope this time it gets created properly. Okay, so I've almost repeated this now 3 times. Okay, today we are going to cover the services part. Uh, And in this services, see, I have already written all those things in my previous two videos. But anyway, I'm not going to write it again. It will just refer it. So what is the service in Android? The service in Android is basically if you want to do a long running thing, right? Processing something bigger in your application, then generally you use services. Okay. It has nothing to do with the GUI when it is running, of course. So when it is doing its own action, when it itself is running, it has nothing to do with the GUI. It's going to run at the back end. Okay. Few examples would be you want to do some computations, large computation, and save the data to database from your mobile app. When somebody clicks something, then you can do it in a long running service. Okay. You might have seen a few Android apps which says that when you click something, it says that you go ahead and other features in our app while we are processing things, right? That is nothing but they are doing the things in the service. Okay, and why they do say that go ahead and use other features in your app, because they don't want you to wait for the service to be completed, and that is one of the reasons why the service is designed in Android platform, that whenever somebody is running a service, they should not get choked by the UI. Okay, we'll discuss that in just now after the concepts. Okay, now what are the two kinds of services that we have in Android? One is started service and one is a bound service. Okay, what is started service and bound service difference? Started service is generally started by a GUI, activity in screen or fragment or navigation drawer, things like that. Okay, bound or any other application component which is basically UI type. Bound service is any application component, okay, any application component in Android platform which will ask the system to get themselves bind to the service. Okay, that means they can ask any time to get bound to the service which is running or which they want to start, which is running, and the system will help them to bind themselves. Okay, so that's a bound service. So we are going to discuss about bound service in the next video. Today we are going to discuss only started service. Okay, so here are the few things that we are going to learn today. What is a started service? Life cycles, that means methods. Create and test a started service, that will do in a code. Have assignments complete. We have around 6 assignments for this. Pros and cons of a started service, threats and how to manage, and how do you write production level code for started service. Okay, now if you come to our tutorial points that we refer generally, this is basically the life cycle of your service. On the left hand side you have started service, on the right hand side you have bind service. Okay, now we are going to started service is also called as unbounded service. Okay, because this is not a bound service. So if you look at the life cycle of this started service, service is started by start service, which is basically starts from a UI. You click on something and then the service is started. Okay, so the first method is going to called is onCreate. That means this onCreate method is called even if before the started service has started. Okay, so if you want to do something before the service start, right, like and to do some logging, you want to display in UI something before even it reaches the service. For example, you say we are now going to run the service, please go ahead and use other features in our app, right? A pop-up kind of thing or a flash screen kind of thing that you can do on your onCreate method. Now the onStart service is basically it's going to start the service. It's not exactly the name of the method. The name of the method is onStart command. That is the actual method. Here they have written it as onStart, which is not right, but yeah, from a picture point of view or a diagram point of view, it is right. So onStart is basically onStart command is going to start the service. Now the service is running. When the service is stopped, there is no callback. Okay, that means when the service is stopped, before the service is stopped or destroyed, we on destroy method is going to be called. Okay, and after that service is shut down. What is the meaning of callback? That means whenever you want to stop the service, okay, you need to specifically call the stop service from somewhere, okay, probably from a UI or something like that, okay. It's not going to have a callback. That means when my service is finished, then it's going to start the stop service automatically. No, that's not going to happen. In the started service, you are going to call the stop service yourself. Okay, how you are going to do that, you will see it in the code. So that is the meaning of callback. That means whenever the service is finished, if it automatically calls the stop service, that is called callback. If it is not going to automatically call the service, then no callback. That means you have to do your stop service call. Now when you call the stop service before the service is stopped, on destroy method is called. Why before the service stop? Because once the service is stopped, there is no reference, right, of the service. You cannot call anything. So if you want to do something before shutting down the service, that means you want to put some logs or you want to do something else, okay, then you can do that on destroy method. So this is the life cycle. On create and on destroy are common to both started service and bound service, okay. On start command is only specific to started service, okay, that's the only thing. The difference you can see it from here also. So these are the methods which you can use in your started and bound service ever. That means in your lifetime, whenever you are doing Android project, these are the only 6 methods that you will use in either started or bound service, okay. Now on start command is for started service. On bind command is actually for bound service, but in started service the Android platform expects you to implement this, okay. So what we are going to do is we will implement it and we will say it return as null, okay, at the return value, because we are not using it. It just has to be there. That's the only meaning, okay. So it has to be there, but we are never going to use it in started service. Unbind and on rebind are the methods which are specific to only bound service, okay. They are not related to started service. On create and on destroy, as I said, are common to both started and bound service. That means in the life cycle of your started service, what are the methods that you are going to use? On start command, on bind, on create, on destroy. So total 4, okay. So on start command, on bind, on create and on destroy, okay. Now on bind we have discussed, I mean everything we have discussed basically. So we will go ahead and do a quick coding here, okay. All these codes I have already written almost 3 times. I'm not going to repeat it again, but I'll tell you how to do it. Your file is a new project, click the project, do it. So type the name as started service demo project or whatever you want to. It will create a project structure like this, okay. We understand project structure in the previous classes. Now it will open up something called contain main.xml for you. Initially this would be blank, right? You go to design, so initially this would be blank, okay. This, so what you need to do is basically click on a button, just drag and drop it, okay, the way I'm doing it right now, okay. Yeah, so drag and drop 2 buttons, one is for started service, one is for stop service. Now for that button, come here and in the text section here, initially it will have button, type in start service. Similarly for stop service, you go ahead and type it as stop service, okay. Now the buttons are named, you have the button in the UI. Now when you are clicking on the button, you need to do something, right? How you are going to tie that back to the code? So you come here and you say something like this, Android colon on click and type it as start service. Similarly Android colon on click stop service. That means you are adding a on click method to the buttons, okay. You can do that in the UI also, but I prefer generally on XML side. So if you see this button, if you go a little bit up, you have a on click event here, right? So you come here and type it as stop service or start service. It will automatically put the text here, okay, whatever is your choice. Now that is your UI is done, okay. Now once the UI is done, what you have done, you have added 2 buttons, you have attached an on click event to this. Now come back to the main activity Java. This is content main, right? So this is the layout. Now you will have a Java, you remember we have talked in the activity class, every activity will have a XML file, layout file as well as code file. So layout file is XML, code file is your Java. Now coming back to Java, this is your main activity, just Java. When you open this, initially you will not have these two methods. Okay, so we are going to write these two methods. So go ahead and type something like public void. We are not going to return any value. So say public void start service, public void stop service. Pass the argument as view. Okay, we'll see this later in our syllabus when we are going to discuss these things: view, hierarchy, layouts, and menus. For the timing, pass this parameter view. Okay, in both the methods. That's it. Don't write these two lines right now. We have not created the service yet. Okay, so we have created the methods. Okay, so that means whenever somebody clicks on those two buttons, start or stop service, they are now bound to the code here. That means they will reach the code here. Now what we are going to do in the code, we'll do it after writing our service class. Now come here, right click here and use a new service. Okay, click service. Now see my service. Okay, so I can say it as test or something like that, and you say finish. The moment you say finish, it will create a class called my service here. It's a Java class. In this Java class, you will not have these methods. Okay, you'll you'll only have this binder on bind. That system will give you automatically. As I said, even if it's a started service, it will ask you to implement on bind. So in the new Android Studio, it automatically gives you on bind. In the previous Android Studios, you didn't get that, so you have to write it yourself. So in the new one, it automatically gives and say it's not yet implemented. Okay, an exception. So ignore this. We are anyway not going to use this. We'll use this in bound service. Now go ahead and write these methods: on start command, on destroy, and on create. Okay, these are all overridden methods. That means you are going to override the methods. Why? Because these methods are present in the base class. Okay, so what is the base class? The base class is the service, or the super class is the service. So my service extends service. So we are extending the base class functionality. Okay, so you have to override the methods if you want to change the behavior. If you don't want to change the behavior, you just type something like super dot method. Like in onCreate, we don't want to do any custom code right now. So I say super dot onCreate. So I pass the control back to the main class. We are not doing anything extra in our service class. But in on start command and on destroy, I am trying to display some text in a form of toast. Okay. So the way you write the code in toast is basically you say toast make text and then you type this. I'll just quickly show you how does it work so that you are comfortable. So you say toast dot make text. Okay, and you just type here in this and you will see the IntelliSense here. Okay, like character char sequence text. So text is what are the text you are trying to display and int duration. So I'll say test and duration is toast dot length long, length short. That means whether you want to display it for short time or longer time. Okay, I'll say this, and then you have to call it as so. If you don't call so, it's not going to display the toast. Okay, what is a toast? We will see that. Right now, similarly for on destroy, you say toast.make text service destroyed. In on start command, you say service started. Okay, those are the two things that you need to do. So that means whenever you click now the start service, it will going to display a text called service started, and when you are clicking on stop service, it will display a service called service destroyed. Very simple code to understand the service started service concept. Okay, now this is an integer return type, so you have to return some value. Don't get confused with this value. What is this start underscore sticky? It's just an integer value that Android platform provides. We'll talk about this later. Or else you can do something like this: return super on start command. That means pass the control back to the super class. Okay, this is the syntax of on start command. Okay, you need to remember this. Okay, intent, int flags, int start id. Okay, so that's you have to remember. Okay, there is no concept why the signature is like that, because whoever has written the Android platform base class, he has written it like that. Okay, so you have to remember that. On destroy is a void method. That means we are not going to return anything. Similarly, on create is also a void method. We are not going to return anything. So if you look at from a service cycle point of view, we have covered all those 4 methods: on start command, on destroy, on create, and on bind. So everything is covered. Okay, all these 4 methods are covered. So we don't need to write anything extra. Yeah. What are the things you can do extra? Whatever new things you want to do. Okay, I'm doing a toast, you can do something else. Okay, I'll give you that as an assignment. Okay, now my service class is ready. Okay, now we have to tie back service class to the main activity class. So if you remember, initially I said that don't write these two. We have only a skeleton of our start service. Now we are going to attach the service class to the main service. How we are going to do it? You say intent, start intent, new intent. This is also syntax you need to remember. Okay, get application context, comma my service dot class. Okay, now pass that intent to the start service method, start service start intent. Similarly, you do for stop service. That means what you are doing. We'll talk about intent more detail in the intent video. But for the timing, you remember that whenever you are starting a service, stopping any service you are calling, right? You have to pass an intent to the service to give the application context, like this is the context and which service is the intent related to. Okay, for example, I have 10 services, right? My service 1, my service 2, my service 3. I can say start intent is for my service 1, stop intent is for my service 2. Or for example, I can create 10 intents: start intent 1, start intent 2, start intent 3 for my service 1, my service 2, my service 3. Okay, and start all those service at a time. Sim, you can do that. Okay, so that is the purpose of intent. So it gives a reference to which service you are trying to run or you are trying to stop. Okay, so write these full lines of codes and then you are done. So we have created the UI, we have the on click event here. From the on click event, we are creating intent of the my service class and starting and stopping the service. We are done. Okay, what is inside the my service class? The entire life cycle methods that we are going to manage and what extra we are doing in those methods. Okay, so we have written everything. Now the project is complete, except one thing that we need to understand. Okay, we don't need to write anything. If you remember, in our manifest file, I said in my previous videos that whenever you keep on adding components in your Android project, the manifest file will also keep on adding those things. For example, the service is added here, my service. Okay, name is my service, enabled equal to true, exported equal to false. Initially exported would be true, I made it as false. So what is the meaning of exported? So for example, you have you are trying to expose your service for third party application. For example, in your Android device you have Ola, Uber, Make My Trip and other applications, right? If they want to use your application service, then you have to make it as true. That means you are exposing the service. Okay, you guys go ahead and use my service, not an issue. But if you make it as false, that means only your application is going to use your service, nobody else can use your service. So depending upon customer requirement, customer project requirement, you make it as exported as false or true during your design phase. Okay, right, now everything is ready. I have already started. Oh, I didn't start the simulator. Okay, let me start the simulator. The simulator is going to take more than 10 to 15 minutes, so you need to wait for this. I very strongly recommend that you don't test it with simulator, at least Android simulator, if you do it with your mobile device. Okay, in the previous classes we have seen that when you connect the mobile device, you get a connection symbol here to the device, and when you run it, if the device is connected, it will go and install your app in your device. Okay, and it will launch it from there if it is a launcher app. So you do that in the device for testing. Do not use emulator. Okay,